drop him wherever, it seems like, and he's going to ball out. You can drop him on Mars.
Allen, are the 49ers built for this, to go up to Seattle?
You know they are.
Pull off a win. Can they do it?
You know they are.
Is there any way they can do it, Allen?
They can do it.
All right. Let's see what our next guest thinks. He joins us every Friday, NBC Authentic 49er host and analyst, among many other things, Rod Brooks. You agree with Alan Stiles, Rod? Are the 49ers going to do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I told you they were going to go to Philly and win, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do.
How'd they do that?
Well, they did it. First and foremost, Philly was easy pickings, dog. They were easy pickings. I mean, we saw how bad they are offensively. But what the Niners did is they went in there and being able to control the game enough with their offense, being able to make enough plays on defense, and then put the game on Philly's shoulders, it was the perfect game plan. The execution of it was the difficult part, and they were actually able to pull that off. But it was basically, hey, man, stay in this game and allow an inferior opponent to show that they are an inferior opponent. But the Niners were much better on the line of scrimmage than they definitely were against Seattle in the previous week, which is what the Niners are going to have to do coming up this Saturday. But to me, the challenge is the same, even though the opponent is different. Got to get to 20 points. You get to 20, 22, 24 points and get that thing into the fourth quarter. That stadium's going to get tight. That team is going to get tight. And the quarterback is going to have to make some plays. And you can only hide your quarterback so much. Philly tried to do it. Didn't work because in the second half, they couldn't run the ball. I think it's the same thing with Seattle. If they cannot run the ball in the second half, and that game is on Sam Darnold's shoulders, it's exactly what the Niners want.
Rod, what was your take on Fred Warner?
Do you know Rod, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What up,
I
man?
apologize.
What's up, Rod? Yeah, I had Rod on the midday show a couple different times.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Rod and I know. How you doing, Rod?
Yeah.
Maybe I should have said, how you doing, Rod? Whitey went right into it, so then I went right into it. Happy Friday, Rod. It's good to
Happy
hear
Friday,
from you,
my man.
Rod, real quick, what was your take on, let's call it Fred Warner Gate? Did you think there was a chance he was going to play? Did you think it was a little bit of gameplay to get the Niners pumped up and get their psyche right? What was your take on the whole Fred Warner situation?
I didn't think he was going to play, and not because I didn't think that Fred was capable of it. I just leaned on guys I know that play football because we saw the videos. We saw the thirst traps out there. To the somewhat untrained eye, with the three of us not being former football players, I think we can say our eye is somewhat untrained in that regard. It looked like Fred Warner could go out there and play football. But I talked to a couple of friends of mine who played and who are big Fred Warner fans because he is that good of a football player. And they're like, nah, he's not ready. He's just there's a fine line between looking good on video and looking good against the air and actually being able to go out there and play. So my opinion about whether Fred would or would not play was simply based on the observations of others who have a unique understanding of what it takes to play in a football game. Now, the whole point of the exercise, I do think it's a two-part strategy. This is to get Fred ramped up to play in the NFC Championship game and beyond. And you got to open that practice window. You got to get him out there at some point in time. So this was the means to hopefully that eventual end. But did it have something to do, or was there something about giving the players a little bit of juice? Absolutely. Now, we just finished 49ers Now, our YouTube show that we do for NBC Sports Bay Area, and we were talking about this. This team is so tight and so cohesive that the idea of doing it for Fred, he's worked his butt off to get to a point where 100 days or so from having his legs snapped in half in a football game, he's worked it to a point to where hopefully he can come back and play. For these Niner players, understanding the importance of the game, it's a divisional playoff game. You have a chance to be one step closer to the Super Bowl. But that other carrot that's dangling there is a very important and personal carrot, which is, hey, man, our leader, our best player has busted his butt to hopefully have a chance to play again this season. Let's play it off for him. So it's a little bit of internal gamesmanship, absolutely. But there's nothing wrong with that. This is a football team that has gone through a lot and has accomplished a lot. And hey, man, these guys are beat up as everybody is at this point in time. And there's could be a little bit of drag there. But all of a sudden, you see Fred Warner, whose wife just had a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could be at home with the family chilling, and everybody would be like, yeah, that makes sense. But he's doing that. He's being a father, and he's being a good teammate, and he's trying to get himself back to play football. Everybody in the locker room was like, all right, man, let's do it for him, because they want to be led out of the tunnel, whether it's at Levi South, down in Inglewood, or whether they have to go to Chicago. They all want to be led out of the tunnel by Fred Warner, but there's only one way you're going to get a chance to do that. That means taking care of business this Saturday against the Seattle team that mushed you in the face, at least for a half anyway, a couple of weeks ago.
I know, Rod, that sometimes you've appreciated my efforts to kind of frame all this in different ways, so I'm going to try here. This quarterback matchup, if this were a candy bar matchup, would it be Payday versus Butterfinger?
I know what you're doing, and I like it, but I have to say, I don't like either one of those candy bars.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
If it was Payday versus Twix, see, I'm a Twix man, right? Because I'm a classy fella, right?
Yeah.
It's Payday versus Twix. Give me Twix all day. Listen, man, Sam Darnold leads the league in turnovers. I'm sure this is stuff you guys know, and I'm sure you guys talked about. We'll talk about it again. Leads the league in turnovers with 20. And while he hasn't thrown an interception against the Niners, he's had 2 fumbles. He lost one in week 1, had a fumble in week 18, but he recovered it. He hadn't thrown an interception against the Niners, but he also hadn't thrown a touchdown against the Niners either. And the Seattle Seahawks, understandably and rightfully so, because their defense is so good, because their running game is so good, and dynamic is the word I would like to use, they hide Sam Darnold's flaws. But this is the playoffs. And it's when the lights shine brightest, who you are, good and or bad, is going to show up. At some point in time, Sam Darnold is going to have to make plays in this football game. They were successful enough in hiding Sam Darnold in week 18 because the run game was so good and because the Niners were so anemic in other areas. They're not going to be able to get away with that right now. To me, one of the keys in this game, third downs. Niners are the best third down conversion team offensively. Seattle is the best at stopping you from converting third downs. On the other side, Seattle is 39% offensively in converting third downs, mainly, if not exclusively, because Sam Darnold. Get him into obvious passing downs on second down. Get him into third and longs. Sam Darnold's going to give you the football. Now, for the Niners, and this has been a year-long problem. It was a problem in week 18. Ball hits you in the hands as the DB. You got to catch it. Mm-hmm. If you're Renardo Green, and it's easy for me to sit here and say, which is why I'm going to say it, you got to get both feet down in bounds because he had an interception hit him right in the hands. Sam Darnold is going to give you a gift. What are you going to do with that gift? I think the Niners are going to take advantage of it. But the only way you're going to get in obvious passing downs, the only way you're going to get the third and longs, and third longs, just like against the Eagles, third manageables, got to stop the run. Mm-hmm. Got to stop the run. And the running game that's been a problem for the Niners is not individual running backs. They handled Bijan Robinson. They handled Jonathan Taylor. They handled Saquon Barkley last week. The big problem, dual running backs, like in Chicago and like what they're going to see again with Seattle.
I never really thought about the dual versus the kind of one-trick pony, if you will. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but how it affects the defense. Rod, let's go to the air with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Obviously, him and Diamador Lenore going back and forth. Do you feel like as much of the production that comes from Jackson Smith and Jigba, do you think the Niners look at him like a game breaker, or do they look at him like if we do what we need to do defensively, he can't necessarily beat us on his own, like maybe some of these other wide receivers out there?
They know how good he is, and he's one of those guys where you have to, as best you can, limit the damage, but he gonna get it. But to me, it's not necessarily about Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's about the guy who is trying to get the ball to him over and over and over again. You go and look at targets. Jackson Smith and Jigba leads all the Seattle Seahawks receivers in targets. The second most targeted guy behind him is Cooper Kupp, and he's 97 targets behind him. So everybody and their mama knows that Sam Darnold, and rightfully so, hell, I do the same thing too, is he's going to try to get the ball to his best player. What the Niners are going to have to do is to minimize the damage that comes along with Jackson Smith and Jigba being targeted as much as he is by Sam Darnold and being as talented as he is. So I do think that this plays into the Niners' overall defensive get down of bend but don't break, and it can be frustrating to watch. But when the Niners get in the red zone defensively, they do find a way to either hold it to a field goal or to stop them and have the ball turned over on fourth down, as they did last week against the Eagles in the first quarter. Seattle is 17th in red zone efficiency. And to me, if you're the Niners, you lean on that because you just don't want to get big played to death by Jackson Smith and Jigba. And the Niners stopped the big play last week. I think they can do it this week. But it all grows from how do you stop the run? And you look at week 18. And this is a different Niner team than defensively week 18 because of Eric Kendricks and his play. But Seattle ran for 115 yards in the first half. They had more rushing yards than passing yards in the first half. Niners brought a safety down in the box. They had 8 guys in the box. Seattle only has 65 yards rushing in the second half. To me, for the Niners, this is probably why I'm not a defensive coordinator. I start with 8 guys in the box. Hope that I'm getting better play at safety for Marquise Siegel compared to Jair Brown. Hope that Lenore and Green are up to the challenge to man up or whoever comes on their side and go from that point. But to me, it's all about stopping the run. So it's not easier for Sam Darnold to go to the guy that everybody knows he wants to go to, which is JSN.
RB, you kind of answered our next question, which was going to be Marcus Siegel filling in for Jair Brown. What is Marcus bringing to the table that Jair's not? I know you've been, real cognizant on missing tackles, especially from the safety position. What are you looking for there? And it sounds like Eric Kendricks is going to play over D. Winters. Yes. D. Winters is going to play. Can you kind of clear up that gray area for us?
Let me start with Eric Kendricks. It's not an accident that the Niners have seen much more cohesion and much better communication as far as their defense, getting guys lined up with Eric Kendricks in. He came in midway through that Week 18 game against Seattle where Tatum Bethune, it's not to throw any shade on Tatum Bethune, but the Niners had a missed tackle problem, 18 missed tackles in that game. Tatum Bethune led them in missed tackles. Eric Kendricks comes in, has about 24 defensive snaps, 0 missed tackles. Eric Kendricks last week, 0 missed tackles. And you watch him. He and Garrett Wallow slapping D linemen, getting them in the right gaps, getting those guys lined up correctly. The pass defense in the middle of the field from the linebackers with Eric Kendricks, much, much better against the Eagles than we'd seen it in previous weeks with Tatum Bethune out there. So as much as everybody wanted to see Fred Warner, rightfully so, the Niners are still in good hands with Eric Kendricks. And I think that's going to make a difference in this game. To get to your point about Siegel, he's just younger, he's just quicker, he's just faster. And Jair Brown's got the knowledge, he's got the experience, but he doesn't have the ability that Marquise Siegel has. Marquise Siegel just needs some confidence. And I think he got that confidence last week. He led the team in solo tackles with 6 of them, only allowed 1 catch, and didn't miss a tackle, if I'm remembering correctly. So Marquise Siegel, it's not to slam Jair Brown, but him not playing, to me, it's addition by subtraction because of what Marquise Siegel did last week.
Rod Brooks with us. And, yeah, we talked about Eric Kendricks last week, Rod, and you told us, hey, they're in good shape there. But I wanted to ask you about this. Jake Tonjes, I think he's got great hands. He was one of the heroes of the first Seattle game. But how much is 85 going to be missed when it comes to the running game, which is so important this week?
Man, that's the bump. I'll say this about the Niners. And no matter what happens, all right, if they lose, which I don't think they will, or if they're going to win the Super Bowl, the remarkable thing about this year is not the injuries. But the fact that they've had guys come in and the drop off from superstar getting injured to the next man up has not been that great. You're a much better football team with Brock Purdy. But it was a surprise to all of us. Damn sure was a surprise to me that the drop off from Brock Purdy's play to Mac Jones coming in, different quarterbacks, but there wasn't that much of a drop off. Eric Kendricks to Fred Warner. You rather have Fred Warner? Not that much of a drop off. Yeah, you're missing a lot without George Kittle in there. But Jake Tonjes is a pass catcher, not that much of a drop off, even though George Kittle obviously is an incredible pass catcher. The thing with Kittle is that his run blocking is just so damn important. Think about last week, even though this is a pass play, but it's emblematic of George Kittle and what he brings blocking wise. Demarcus Robinson has a 61-yard catch and run early in the game against the Eagles. You go back and you watch that play. George Kittle's blocking downfield is responsible for 30 of those 61 yards. That's who George Kittle is. The Niners, when George Kittle is out there, they average 4.1 yards per carry when George Kittle is on the field. When he's not there, they only average 3.7 yards per carry. Some of y'all might be saying, well, that's not that much. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially once you get to this point in the playoffs. So you're going to miss George Kittle in that regard, but you're getting Trent Williams back. You didn't have him in Week 18. And I think we saw the difference that Trent Williams makes last week against the Eagles. He is going to make that much of a difference this upcoming Saturday. So I'm not saying it's even losing Kittle in the run game and having Trent Williams back, because Kittle definitely makes you better. Again, I just don't think the drop-off is that severe because, as we mentioned, Tonjes is a pass catcher, caught that touchdown in Week 1, and obviously Trent Williams as the blocker is Hall of Fame worthy.
So, Rob, before we let you go, the 49ers win this week, and then are they headed back to Levi's South next week, you think?
I mean, yeah. If the Rams special teams, and I hope this continues, don't get me wrong, but if the Rams special teams wasn't so comically bad, the Rams would be the most complete team, in my estimation, still left in the playoffs. All credit to the Bears. I just think this living by the skin of your teeth thing, that can't take you all the way to an NFC championship. So to me, that Bears defense going up against the Rams offense, and that Rams defense, which is pretty damn good, they're not going to get down 21-3 to the Bears. So to me, Rams being a better team, it's going to go off down to Levi's South. There's going to be a lot of red, and it's going to be the Niners and the Rams one more time for the get down. Right? Just like we all planned, right?
Yeah.
Just like we all saw.
Roundabout way of getting there, but yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Rod, real fast before we let you go, because it feels like your tone has changed, but not changed, if that makes sense. Do you truly believe this team can make it to the Super Bowl, meaning the 49ers?
Yeah.
With some good luck and,
I do.
Wow.
I mean, listen, they ain't scared of Seattle. They ain't scared of seeing the Rams. If they have to see Chicago again, they're not scared of seeing those guys again as well. To me, and this is with all credit to Seattle and any upcoming opponent, the Niners winning or losing is really based on how the Niners play. They're not going to be the 85 Bears defensively, but they can't be the bad news Bears defensively. You cannot miss 18 tackles and win a football game. How many tackles did they miss last week? 7, 8. You know what I mean? You can't. You don't have a lot in terms of pass rush, but what you do have is a defensive coordinator who's been very good at sending the right blitzes at the right strategic time. So they have the pieces defensively, and I think they have all the pieces offensively, with the exception of George Kittle, have all the pieces offensively to be the tip of the spear. To me, it's all about how the Niners play. What they do, what they don't do, the mistakes that they may or may not make, that's going to determine whether the Niners win this game, beat LA or Chicago, and get to the Super Bowl, more so than the opponent that they play.
All right, Rod. We appreciate it. We'll see you on TV. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.
We'll talk next week.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, Rod. Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah. The one thing that scares me the most from the 49ers